16. I'm going to finish the Matthew chapter 23, verses 13 through 39, and also read from A Treasure Forever, A Gift of Love, poems from the heart, Helen Steiner Rice. She is a poet. Okay, so don't mind the big heap of clothes to the left of you, or wait, if you're watching this, to the right of you. I know it's there, and we've got to declutter, and I understand that when you declutter things, that you have more room to breathe. So, anywho, here we go. 7 woes on the teachers of the law and Pharisees. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. Woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You travel over land and sea to win a single convert, and when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much a child of hell as you are. Woe to the blind guides! You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by gold of the temple is bound by oath. You blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gift on the altar is bound by the oath. You blind men, which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, anyone who swears by the altar swears by it, by everything on it, and anyone who swears by the temple swears by it, and by the one who dwells in it. And anyone who swears by heaven swears by God's throne, and by the one who sits on it. Woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give 1/10 of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters, the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting former, you blind guides. You strain out the gnat, but swallow the camel. Woe to you, teachers of the law of the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give the 1/10 of your spices. Woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and the dish, and then outside will be clean. Woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like a whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones and dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as the righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous, and you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have taken part with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourselves, and you have no descendants of those who murdered and prophets. Go ahead then and complete what your ancestors started. You snakes, you broad vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? Therefore I am sending you prophets and sages and teachers. Some of them you will kill and crucify, others you will flog in your synagogues and pursue them from your town to town. And so upon you will come all the righteous blood that has been shed on earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel to the blood of Zachariah, son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I tell you, all this will come on this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who killed the prophets and stoned those sent to you, how often have I longed to gather your children together, as hen gathers chicks under her wings, and you were not willing. Look your house to the left to desolate, for I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Amen. This is when he's just throwing the truth out. Matthew chapter 24 says, Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came to him and called his attention to its buildings. Do you see all of these things? He asked. Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. everyone will be thrown down. Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, and disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, tell us when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of age? Jesus answered, watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars, rumors of wars, but see it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of the birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of this increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but the one who stands firm till the end will be saved, and the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation, spoken through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down and take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back and get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your fight will not take place in a winter or on the Sabbath, for then will be a great distress unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would have survived, but for the sake of the elect in those days will be shortened. At the time, if anyone says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe it, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even elect. See if I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, there he is, out in the wilderness, do not go out, or here he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east, visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then they will appear the sign of the Son of the Man in the heaven, and then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the heaven, and the power of the great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from the end of the heavens to the other. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it is in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage up to the day of Noah entered in the ark, and they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with the handmill, one will be taken and the other one left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on the day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have kept a watch and would have let his house be broken into. So you must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is faithful and wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in the household to give them their food in their proper time? It will be good for the servant whose master finds him doing So when he returns, truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all possessions. But suppose that the servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and then begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of the servant will come on the day when he does not expect him, and the hour he is not aware of. He will cut him into the pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So this is when Jesus goes into the part where a lot of people feeds fear. I mean, it's intense, you know, super intense. So that was Matthew 23 and 24, and Jesus. It's a siren. It's a warning. That's what it is. Okay, let's read here. God is the answer. We read the headlines daily and we listen to the news. We are anxious and bewildered with the world's conflicting views. We are restless and dissatisfied and sadly insecure, and we voice our discontentment over things we must endure. For this violent age we live in is filled with nameless fears that grow as we discuss the things that come daily to our ears. So instead of reading headlines that disturb the heart and mind, let us open up the Bible. In doing so, we will find that this age is no different from the millions of gone before, but in every hour of crisis, God has opened up the door for all who sought His guidance and trust His plan. For God provides the answer that cannot be found by man, and though there's hate and violence and dissension all around, we can always find a refuge that is built on solid ground. If we go to God believing that He hears our smallest prayer, and that nothing can befall us when we are in His care, for only by believing in the things we cannot see can all nations be united in the peace that makes men free. For the skill of man cannot conquer new worlds in outer space, but only our Creator can endow mankind with grace, and only grace that is divine can unite us with each other and make our enemies our friends and every man and brother. That was beautiful. All right, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.